Whoops. Now call the Camp Hill Borough Council meeting to order. Would everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? We'll now call the roll. Sarah, could you please?
Thomas Fink. Here. Michelle Forbes.
Here.
Rich Forsman.
Here.
Tim Jackson. Here. Luis De La Silva. Here. Kevin Mock. Here. Tia Wolf. Here. Alexander Jackson.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will open our first period of public comment. If you would like to make a comment, you can come to the podium, state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
All right. First one. Here we go, guys. I appreciate you guys having me here today. I'm here joined alongside Jen Parsons and Doug Byers here at Wayne Bank. My name is Vishnu Patel. I appreciate the time this evening. I'm here this evening to talk about the banking RFP proposal. I've been following it for the past year and so forth, and took some time earlier this week to review some of the minutes from the latest Finance Committee at the end of January. A couple of good points in there here and so forth. A couple of line items that jumped out to me was, changing a bank can be time-consuming and a smidge complex. Decisions, should be based off of a long-term relationship, not just off of rates. Municipalities don't often switch unless, there's an immediate need or something like that. And pursuing an RFP could take some additional resources from staff and the board here, or the council here. Despite those pieces and so forth, as somebody who's sat on a number of boards and so forth, I recognize and understand the fiduciary obligation you guys have to the borough here. And to me, an RFP signals two things: proactivity and preventative maintenance. Proactivity is something everybody in the borough, everybody, as a resident here within our great Commonwealth, is super passionate about. Seeing that kind of effort from the council here is something that I think is positive for all folks here. And the questions I think the council should be really considering, when evaluating this proposal is, hey, does the current banking relationship have a direct, support or donation into the borough? Does folks on staff and the council have a direct person, cell phone, email that they can reach out to in times of need or to troubleshoot issues? Or are they simply reliant on a phone tree, a general email, or whoever happens to be at the branch that day? A lot of advances have been made in technology within the banking sector. Most people are aware of, FDIC insurance covering up to $250,000. But, banks today, can insure up to $50 million. There's products such as remote deposit capture machines that would allow staff to scan checks right here at the office rather than having to travel to a branch and so forth, saving time and money. There's things such as positive pay, right? And products like that, especially with fraud on the rise here, especially for municipalities and nonprofits, it's an important step to help prevent, any potential issues, with the deposits and the relationship that you guys have with the borough. And so these are some of the questions that I think are a bit important for the council to be considering as they're working through that proposal. And then, I brought the big guns with me here. Our office, and I apologize, I didn't say our address. We are in Camp Hill, 395 St. John's Church Road. So we're really excited to be here in the Camp Hill market. But I'll let Jen share a couple words here just on us here, just so everybody has a flavor.
That was a lot to follow, so I'm going to try really hard. But we are with Wayne Bank, formerly President's Bank, and we're pretty excited to be in Camp Hill now. But we've worked with a lot of municipalities. I believe we have a little over 80 municipalities across the state of Pennsylvania that we currently work with. So we definitely understand the needs, and as Vishnu said, the fiduciary responsibilities that you have. So if you decide to go for an RFP, we would greatly appreciate the ability to perhaps submit one.
Hi, I'm Doug Byers, Region President for PA. We're just thrilled to be in Camp Hill. Our office right now is a loan production office, but our plans are to apply through the state and the FDIC for a bank branch. It'll be a limited service branch upon regulatory approvals. And we're also, you can let Vishnu know, but we're also looking for another site somewhere on the West Shore, Camp Hill, to be a more full-service traditional branch for a little more retail. So we're excited to expand, grow the bank. Wayne Bank has been around for 155 years this year. So with, I think, the experience of Vishnu, Jen, and myself, if an RFP does come across our way, we will take special attention to really put our best foot forward to meet the needs, to, in the end, lower taxpayer dollars, to put more back to the borough. Do that through an interest component of which our costs are absorbed, to then have you have the net interest come back again for the goal to keep taxpayer dollars as low as you could possibly have, as a big goal I know you all have to fiduciary responsibilities to serve. So thank you very much for our time
you.
this evening.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, President Forbes. And actually, we're going to actually agree with our friends from Wayne Bank. We also think it would be a good idea to do a RFP. I'm Zach Corey. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Orrstown Bank. This is Mike Jagger, our Chief Client Experience Officer, and Sydney Kelly, our Treasury Management Specialist. And I do want to start by saying, as a borough resident, thank all of you for what you do, donating your time, being on this council. I'm sure it often feels like a thankless job. But as someone that lives here and gets to experience a special place, we see it every day. And I saw it again when, in preparation for this meeting, we reviewed the financials of the borough. And probably not telling you anything you don't know, but when you look at the metrics that we as a bank look at to assess the health of a municipality, we're exceeding our peers. Cash to revenue, cash to expenditures, unassigned fund balance, and I'm sure it's a lot of intentionality and hard work on your part. So I value that as a citizen here, and we would like to partner with you on that success. About Orrstown Bank, we are over 100 years old. We're headquartered right across the river in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We have a branch in Camp Hill. Our kind of philosophy, how we have made it 100 years, and we're going to make it another 100, is the success that Orrstown has is based on the success of the communities that we serve. Rising tide lifts all ships. And of the communities we serve, I'm a little biased, but I happen to think Camp Hill is both very unique and very special. You know, we talked about those ratios that you guys have been able to achieve. It's a very limited tax base here. That presents some constraints, so that's impressive. But we take that pride working with our clients and in the communities we serve to elevate them. And that, you know, being from Camp Hill, I'll share that I moved here 5 years ago. I moved my family, and it was so special that my 3 siblings moved here with their families. My mother-in-law opened a shop on Market Street, and we're all deeply involved. My wife is on the DCHA. My sister-in-law, Bridget, is on the Planning Commission. My brothers and I coach pretty much all the youth sports you can come up with here. Camp Hill's lousy with us at this point, but it's because we care. It's because that is our philosophy, that you really have to give back to where you came from. Orrstown equally believes in Camp Hill and is dedicated to it. And the examples I'd use there is our support of the Lion Foundation. We gave over $30,000 last year. We're very proud to have taken over the sign at the Cybert Park. That will now be Orrstown Bank. And maybe more importantly is the businesses here that we've partnered with. The Leth's Pie Kosh Murphy, Sigma Legal, everyone's favorite Cornerstone Coffee. We provide excellent banking service, but more importantly, we provide partnership. How can we work with you to identify and solve problems, to bring in government resources and grants and government loans? And that would be our pitch. If we would work with you, we would work to establish that relationship. We're going to leave some material with you. It tells all about Orrstown Bank, about our financials, but maybe more importantly, we have references here with other municipalities that we do work with in this area. And if you do move forward, I'd encourage you to reach out for them and just ask them what their experience has been. And hopefully we'll have the opportunity to work with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Laura Kennedy. I'm with Belco Community Credit Union. I agree with Vishnu and I agree with Zach. I think it's important in our communities to be educated financially, to do better service for the community you're in. Belco is nonprofit, so we understand the struggles. We are run by our members. We are not run by investments or anything like that. We have The only people we have to satisfy is our members. We keep our rates low. We would love to be more involved in the community with Camp Hill Borough. And we have a lot to offer, between free business checking, higher rates that we can offer because we don't need to satisfy those others. We'd love the chance to come in, have a conversation, and possibly be considered for any RFPs in the future. Thank you.
Off again, sorry about that. Okay, well, seeing no other comments, I don't have any president announcements, so let's start with the manager's report. Sarah?
Good evening. I'm sad to report that Sammy Paralak will leave the borough next week for an exciting new career opportunity. So everybody be sure to say thanks to Sammy. She's holding down the computers over there. As a result, we are currently accepting applications for the position of office assistant. We are also considering a very part-time position, which very part-time is like 5 hours a month, to assist with minute taking and evening meeting coordination. Information about these positions is available on our website. We are also continuing to interview for our summer recreation positions, including camp counselors, lifeguards, snack shack workers, and a recreation intern. Tomorrow, I will be presenting an educational seminar with a colleague of mine from College Township as part of the Association of Pennsylvania Municipal Managers Professional Development Conference in Hershey. The presentation is titled Steadying the Ship, Leading Through Crisis, and we will focus on leading staff during emergency situations. And I'm also participating in a strategic planning process for APMM. So if my presentation goes well, I am happy to present it to you. If it does not, thanks for thinking nice thoughts. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now have the mayor's report. Mark?
Thank you. Excuse me. The police department ran 804 calls for service in January. Our 4 new police officers continue to do very well. They are continuing they're working with their field training officers. I believe they all just switched. They changed it up. They've switched to different field training officers this past week. Fire department ran 33 calls in January. We spent 56 hours on those calls. And the new radio system in Cumberland County is set to be turned on Tuesday, next Tuesday at 9 a.m. So we'll see how that all goes. Hopefully well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw that Hamden was already working on getting it all sorted out. Yeah, that's so exciting, finally. Okay, let's have the engineer's report.
Short report this month from me, just a couple of updates on the curb ramp project and the paving project. The curb ramp project, we are nearing completion on the design of the curb ramps. That's scheduled to happen by the end of the month. And as I mentioned last month, we're working with the 2025 curb ramp contractor to build some additional curb ramps in 2026 as a change order to their contract. That's been blessed by the funding agency. The contractor's more than happy to do it. So as soon as we have the designs in hand, we'll get those over to the contractor and verify their pricing. Our goal is to get that out to bid sooner than later and complete the construction on the curb ramps in the first half of the summer so that then we can do the paving in the latter half of the summer and have everything match up nice and smooth. That's a nice segue to the paving project, for which we are also nearing completion on the contract documents and are going to look at bidding that in March and April, but then the contractor will be under contract and have a delayed start, again, not until that second half of summer. Not in my report, but just an update. We're working with the Stormwater Authority on a pretty significant drainage study and presented some of our initial findings, which all have some challenges associated with them. So after the meeting with the authority, we're looking at kind of a hybrid option, and I should have a more thorough report on that effort next month. That's everything for me.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the consent agenda. If I could have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All right. Tim moves. All right, Louisa seconds. Any discussion? Okay. Oh, anyone opposed? I didn't say that yet, did I? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I'm going ahead of myself. Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Now we will proceed with the reports of commissions and liaisons. First is public safety with Tim.
Thank you. The committee met on January 26th at 4:30. We talked through some old business as it pertains to Country Club Road. I think the takeaway there was just in terms of what we're doing as far as continued enforcement and what I call just investigative reporting. And I think the next move that, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're going to have a couple of speed studies between the spring and summer, maybe June, when the weather breaks, to make sure that those speeds are at a level where we anticipate. If they are not, I think we're going to look at additional options to continue with some of the things we've seen in the past. So more to come. June is our timeline, and we'll decide what happens after we get those reports. Secondarily, just an update on the e-scooters. Joe Capers has seen a decrease in the usage of e-scooters, which is good. He is what we discussed many months ago about sort of a multi-phase approach in terms of education with the parents and the students. We haven't quite gotten past that, I don't believe, with any direct enforcement or citations or anything like that, so which is a good thing, and we're continuing to look forward to even decreased e-scooter activity there. There has been some mention about, and another update I'll have soon with the superintendent about prohibiting e-scooters entirely from the school property. That's what I would probably think is more of an ongoing conversation. Nothing we're looking into at this point, but the topic has been raised. And then lastly, a couple meetings ago, we had several residents talk about their concern for safety within the schools and wanted additional SRO support. We are looking into that, and I think we might have an update at the next Public Safety Committee meeting. So we'll be prepared to talk through what that might look like, the incremental cost, and considerations for reviewing such a request. And then lastly, just so everybody knows, if you haven't been to the Crossing Guard Appreciation Luncheon, that is April 24th at the Administration Building. I want to say it's high noon, at noon. That's my report. Thanks.
Are there any questions?
I'm just curious, with the fog lines being painted and this stop sign, which is not a traffic control device, but does control traffic, any reports about speeding being lessened? Do you have any feel for that?
I don't think we've measured it.
Yeah, so we'll find out.
But no resident complaints.
No, that's what I mean, no residents'
Yeah,
complaints
that's
recently.
what
Obviously, it's true. We are aware of folks thanking us for their efforts.
Okay, thank you, Tim. And Public Works is next. Louisa.
Okay, Public Works. Public Works met on January 22nd. I was not at the meeting, but I got the minutes. So they confirmed that moving forward, the Public Works meetings will be every third Thursday, still at 8 a.m. So that's a schedule change from last year. And then they discussed proposed traffic calming resolution. That is something that has been developed by Planning and Zoning. So it just came to Public Works for review. and Public Works had a few comments, and now it's going back to Planning and Zoning. So we just want to note that so this should be like a helpful thing for the public, to help the public to propose traffic calming devices. But if people request stop signs, we need to note that stop signs are not considered traffic calming measures, so they would not be covered by this process. So there is another process to request stop signs, but they're generally not a traffic calming device. So this will be just a structured way to manage requests and reduce the need to immediately engage engineering services for every request. So now I will go back to Planning and Zoning. Mike already reported on the curb ramp construction and the paving project. The Public Works meeting took place before the big snowstorm, so they discussed the forecast and the plan for snow mitigation. And we will discuss at the next Public Works meeting how it went. More about sewer lining in 2024. I think it should be 2025 probably. We completed 12,000 feet of sewer lining to reduce I&I. And they also talked about our contract history with Hampton Township. So additionally, we completed 13 manhole rehabilitations and purchased and installed a sewer camera to meet monitoring requests. We're also still working on the Creek Road pump station, which includes a full roof structure, lightning control panel upgrades, and safety access. So I'm assuming that work is paused right now due to the weather, but it will probably resume once weather permits. The project needs to be completed by the end of the year per our grant requirements. The stop signs at Russell Road and Country Club have received positive feedback so far. And there was also a discussion about a potential striping of parking spaces on Market Street. It's already legal to park on Market Street parallel to traffic, but many people are not aware of it because it's not marked in any way. And we did receive a grant for our proposal to build sidewalks on Lenox Street. And so we will talk about it at the next Public Works Committee, which is on Thursday, February the 19th at 8 a.m. So did I omit anything, and are there any questions? No questions?
Thanks very much, Louisa. And next, we have Community and Business Relations. Kevin?
Thanks. So Community and Business Relations met for the first time on January 20th, the first time of this year. Beth Taylor, who is our downtown coordinator, as well as our digital media wrangler, opened a meeting with an announcement that the Downtown Camp Hill Association was awarded a $25,000 grant from the Department of Economic and Community Development, DCED. Department of Community, yeah, I got that backwards. That will go towards an updated Urban Lands Institute study. The last study, Urban Lands Institute study, was completed 10 years ago. And yesterday, a few of us from Borough Council and the Downtown Camp Hill Association met with Representative Nate Davidson. His office presented a ceremonial check to Downtown Camp Hill Association, which was a really nice event. That was at Watershed.
It was on TV, by the way.
Nice.
Someone told me, yeah.
Ms. Taylor also mentioned that our digital media outreach continues to grow via a variety of social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, I believe. We also have a Borough E-Digest newsletter, so if you're a Camp Hill resident, definitely sign up for that if you want to hear some interesting news that's going on. It comes out monthly, I believe. Yep. And then we move to the discussion of the quarterly newsletter that everybody receives. Currently, it is a glossy paper. It's nicely done. However, revenue sponsorship has fallen, and publishing costs have increased. So going forward, we'll be looking at different alternatives for continuing to make the newsletter sustainable. And whatever form that's going to be, we're not sure yet. So if you have any ideas, feel free to come to CBR meeting. The downtown coordinator's report is included in the back of the council packet for more information. One of the other things that we talked about was parking reform. It seems like it's a big topic through all of our committees and has now landed in CBR. One of the reasons primarily is because the Downtown Camp Hill Association is really interested in making sure this happens. They feel it's a pressing issue. It's acutely affecting the downtown zoning district particularly. We are going to look at it. How that happens, we'll see. Most likely, it will end up through the comp plan. However, there are some things that we are going to do as an intermediate remedy, including wayfinding signs and, as Louisa mentioned, painting lines on Market Street for parking stalls. We think that some of these things would really alleviate some of the parking issues by letting people know where they should park, having it more visible, a visible presence on Market Street. We've seen at some of the events, especially for people that come out of town, they're not even sure that they are allowed to park on Market Street. So hopefully with the line painting, it'll just be a visual cue, right? One of the other things that we're talking about, this is another topic that was raised by DCHA, is having a local economic revitalization tax act district. It's called ALERTA. Stay tuned for that. It's a very complicated issue that I don't want to get too involved with right now, but we will talk about that more in coming meetings and definitely with part of the comp plan. And the issue with both ALERTA and parking reform, it requires a major overhaul of our zoning code, which is why we want to do this all at once through the comp plan. Finally, the comp plan is getting started. Our last comp plan was completed in 2009. It was a joint effort between Wormleysburg and Lemoyne Borough. This time, it will be a standalone effort with Camp Hill. At this point, we're waiting on funding before we start moving forward. Lastly, mark your calendars. Spring Fling is on April 11th. The weather's starting to get a bit warmer, so I think we're all looking forward to some outdoor activities that we can do. Finally, the next CBR meeting will be on February 17th at 4:30. Thanks.
Any questions for Kevin?
I just want to spell out for the people that don't know, comp plan is short for the comprehensive plan.
To also clarify, our last comprehensive plan was alone, but we did do a joint plan separately with Lemoyne and Wormleysburg, right? What is the other comp plan that I have? That's the one I'm thinking of. Sorry about that, Kevin. I stand corrected.
And it's a 10-year plan?
It's not
Projects? Ideally, yeah. Okay.
Depends on what year it was
Yeah.
done.
Right.
Okay, moving on to Parks and Recreation with Tia.
All righty, good evening, folks. The Parks and Recreation Committee met on Monday, February 2nd. We do have two requests to bring to council's attention today for consideration. One of those is a request from the Camp Hill Girls Softball Association to post signs in borough parks, and then the other is a request for the donation of a resident rate family pool membership for the Lion Foundation's winter fundraiser. We also discussed kind of general guidance on donating space at the cabin. There's nothing to act on yet for council holistically, but we did discuss thoughts on just kind of how and when it's appropriate to be donating space, either at the cabin or any of our other buildings. We talked through things like, does the organization really benefit residents, or is it more broad for non-residents? The amount of time we should donate, how frequently one organization should get something like that. So that's something that's on our minds. Additionally, there was an issue brought to the attention of the committee regarding safety of children sledding at Siebert Park during the recent winter storm. Children that are sledding while we're also trying to plow can cause some safety concerns, and while everybody on the committee loves the tradition of children sledding at the park, the safety of our residents is of the utmost priority to us. So we discussed some potential solutions, like potentially gating off the park while the plows are active, similar to what other municipalities in the area do. Nothing is finalized as of yet, but it is in our minds to solve for, so that we can balance out the ability for kids to have fun in the winter weather and also avoid any accidents. Reminders for upcoming exciting activities. Camp registrations are going to start on March 2nd, except for the Siebert Park Day Camp, which will start on March 3rd. A full list of all the camps that are available are on our website. The annual Bunny Extravaganza, it will be on March 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Borough Building. This is an event for children ages 3 to 9, and you actually get to drop your kids off and then go do whatever you would like to do as a grown-up. So that's very enticing for folks. And we are very grateful to the amazing volunteers in the community that will be running different stations where children can make crafts, decorate eggs, make a basket, etc. The cost of this is $15. Pre-registration is required and spots are limited, so don't stampede over to the borough website, but we do encourage folks to register early. The deadline to do so is March 13th. Pool season is almost here, which is hard to believe after our snowstorm this month, but memberships can be purchased starting March 2nd online. Applications, as Sarah mentioned, are still being accepted as well for lifeguards, snack shack staff. We want to have a really fun summer, so you can find more information for those applications and positions on our website. And lastly, we did discuss cabin parking at Siebert Park, and just a friendly reminder to our neighbors that the cabin is rented out most weekends, and we encourage folks that are using the park to please park, which how many times can I say that word, at the lot by the stadium or the playground, so that folks who are renting the cabin have the spaces that are closest to it. So the Parks and Recreation Committee will be meeting again on Monday, March 2nd at 1 p.m. That's my report.
Thank you, Taya. Are there any questions? Nothing. Okay, next, Tom, Planning and Zoning.
Planning and zoning. You'll note in your packet that Colton has provided a monthly report on code enforcement. Things picked up in January compared to December. He responded to 151 calls and complaints, sent 300 emails, and issued 21 building, zoning, dumpster, and burning permits. The Planning and Zoning Committee met January 16th. The first thing we did was review a modestly revised peddlers and solicitors ordinance, which is now in your packet, and it will be an action item tonight whether we want to advertise it. We continued working on the traffic calming resolution, which is almost done, but this is government, so things take a while. We were getting input from Public Works, and we also got additional specificity that we want to build in about what does traffic calming consist of. So we still have some work to do. It eventually will make its way for review. Sarah completed the current stage of the codification project with input from Colton about some floodplain definition inconsistencies. There's more work to be done on some of the ordinances, which will be folded into the comprehensive plan. And it looks as though we will get a state grant in April, we hope. That's what they say, okay. Yeah. And finally, I'm going to talk about parking some more. We continue to look at the ideas of revising, liberalizing parking requirements. There is a desire to make the downtown area more receptive to businesses. Many ideas have been floated about liberalizing, reducing the requirements, getting rid of them completely, et cetera, et cetera. I won't bore people with all the details. We are in favor of that, but I always jump in and say that we got to look at unintended consequences. Colton says that one of the major complaints he gets is around parking from businesses where customers will park in residential areas. So we're going to look very seriously at that. We're going to do something, but we want to use the comprehensive plan consultant to help us as well. And it's moving, but it's government, and it'll take a while. But we are supportive of liberalizing the parking requirements on businesses. And the last thing I want to say is that I met with Colton, and we talked about the current requirements for parking, and I don't think they're quite as onerous as people think. There are ways to work around, to expand, et cetera. And what I would recommend to businesses interested in coming into the area is talk to Colton. And he knows the code and can work through issues. And if it's at all possible, we certainly want, at this point in time, to support businesses coming into the area. That's my report. Any questions?
So who owns that? I hear from CBR and I hear from planning and zoning. So who has the next step?
So if we're going to arm wrestle, I would say it's CBR, because that's where the comprehensive plan is going to start. And then eventually,
I got a pretty strong arm here.
eventually it will end up in planning and zoning because it's a zoning change.
Yeah, and so as a member of CBR, I would just say, I hear you on government takes time, but we have a responsibility to take those milestones one step at a time, right? So if we have challenges, let's talk about them, resolve them, and move on. I am not yet aware of substantive conversation around it, but I hear you, and it's on Kevin and the committee to make sure it moves at a pace that we can stand on.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason we can't start working on things right now. I have a 700-page book that Tony Conti gave me on parking and national rules, et cetera, which I've read a couple pages of at this point. But there's no reason why we have to wait until April, May, June. We're going to do additional discussion about it. And I think the entire council needs to be involved in these discussions as well. So we'll let you know what's going on.
So I kind of understand what you're saying, Tim, where are we both working on the same thing? And do we need to say, no, this is something we are working on before it gets to zoning? Does that make sense?
What I hear, and I completely agree, I should probably use this, is that whether it comes through the committee, through conversation, I think it's on next committee agenda, and then ultimately solidified by the comprehensive plan, then after those discussions are had, then it would move into sort of the planning and zoning conversation. So I understand and agree with what I think I've heard.
But we still get a lot of feedback from coding, so we're not out of the loop.
You're involved. You're involved.
And the next meeting of planning and zoning is scheduled for Friday, February 20th at 8:15.
Okay. All right, next, admin and finance with Rich.
All right, saving the best for last.
Yeah.
Admin and Finance met on Monday, the 26th at 1 p.m. We did have to do the conference call over Zoom due to the snow. At the meeting, all were present, and we sat in with a finance director's report from our fine Natalie, and we found out that our overall finances are on track for the start of the year, and that we're currently undergoing our annual audit. We discussed the Hamden Township sewer fine, which is outstanding for what, since 2018? And we're looking at options to work with them to either get that, resolved or just taken off of the books. But since Hamden's currently undergoing an audit themselves, or not an audit, what they call it, opening the books, we wanted to wait for them to finish that process before we pursue it further with them. We've also made a lot of improvements over that time since 2018 to reduce our I&I, so it's our feeling that, any issues that were outstanding have been resolved. We do have some volunteer position openings, and admin and finance is actually on the hook for finding people to fill those positions, and so we discussed some options to try and make it more inclusive and give people an opportunity to step up and apply for these positions, mainly by advertising it on our borough website and our social media, and then leaving it open for a period of time that right now we're looking at I think a month. The main one being our emergency management coordinator position, which is currently empty. But we're going to try and fill that during next month's meeting, or the meeting after, I believe. Above and beyond that, we're going to go ahead and make it a continuing process. So every year we will post these positions as they're coming up to be vacated, and give people an opportunity to step up as members of the community and volunteer for these committees. Beyond that, we talked a little bit about the Sustainability Committee openings, which we have 3. We also have, we're looking at the idea of creating a position for an alternate zoning and hearing board member. I guess sometimes there's problems with attendance. And so I guess the big sticking point there is we have to name them when we actually appoint them. So it's a little bit stickier than some of the other volunteer positions. And then the big thing that was discussed and ate up most of the time was our discussion over the banking RFP. We had a lively back and forth with the borough staff and the other council members in attendance. The standard RFP process, I guess, can be a little bit of a heavy lift for boroughs, and so there were a lot of concerns there. But I think based on the testimony we heard tonight, we might want to reopen that discussion and at least offer an opportunity for our next meeting for, if you guys can find the time, on February the 23rd at 1 p.m. to maybe sit in attendance and provide any input you might have. The issue came to a vote and failed due to a lack of a second, so it might be worthwhile to have some people in attendance to, help with the, I guess, the drive the conversation, for lack of a better word. And that's pretty much it for admin and finance. Our next meeting is on the 23rd at 1 p.m., so that's it for me.
Any questions?
Some comments. So 16 years, the world has changed, right? 16 years ago, there was nothing called a Lyft or an Uber or Airbnb or even an iPad. And you think about how people consume information, you think about how people travel, you think about the technology that we now have. And it's been over 16 years since we've taken a look at banking and some other items. I'm urging council to do the right thing on behalf of our residents, to look at banking and any other area where we can be more efficient and effective. Thank you.
No, none. All right, Tim.
So on January
Sorry,
28th,
it's the borough
Yep.
and school district. Sorry about that.
January 28th at 6 p.m., we had the joint borough and school district meeting. There's a few things that came out as a result of that conversation. The first is the work that Kevin mentioned in terms of looking at striping along Market Street. I think the next step is for us to obtain estimates for the striping. Of course, any activity wouldn't occur until the spring when the weather breaks, but that's still in conversation. We also talked about the recognition lunch that I mentioned before, April 24th. And then more on the SRO conversation around establishing a core group for the safety resource officer, and identifying the emergency coordinator and potentially deputy. So these are ongoing conversations that both the district and council are involved with. We also talked about some state grants, the first being a stormwater project at Harvard Avenue, I believe in the amount of $400,000, and the installation of sidewalks along Lenox Street, about $350,000 grant. And from my notes, I can't remember if they were awarded or did we, they're awarded. Okay, so that's fantastic news, $750,000 to help our infrastructure. And that's it. Thanks.
All right, moving on. Louisa with Stormwater Authority.
Okay, Stormwater Authority met yesterday. And as Mike already mentioned, we talked at length about the Harvard Run study that HRG is working on. So they are not finished yet. They explored various scenarios. One that involves rerouting everything to Chestnut Street, and then it would necessitate to redo the whole Deanhurst culvert, so it's prohibitively expensive. The other one would be only increasing upstream storage. So this is all, the study is all to look at how we can solve or minimize the flooding that happens in the area of Braemar and Harvard Run. So HRG is going to continue to work on this study, and they will come up with a hybrid proposal that includes a little bit of upstream storage and a little bit of extending capacity, also incorporating projects that we are already planning to do for various other reasons, and also projects that are funded, like we have received grant funding for putting an additional pipe on Harvard Avenue. So we will hear more about this study at the next Stormwater Authority meeting, and probably also at the next Public Works meeting and the next Borough Council meeting. Also, the Stormwater Authority is working on updates to our website. So that's work in progress, but you can go and check it out already. And also updating our rules and regulations. That's all about stormwater.
Thank you, Louisa. Next, we have Alex with the Junior Council Member Report.
Okay, so lots of fundraisers going on. So if you guys are looking for something fun to do, Camp Hill's Youth and Government Club is holding a trivia night on February 28th from 6 to 8 at the school. A great way to support that cause. It's a very expensive program to get us to the Capitol in April, so it's $10. Wrestling sectionals are this Friday, as well as the Camp Hill's hosting an archery tournament, which is something we haven't done before, also this Saturday. Minithon is having a faculty basketball game. That'll be tomorrow evening. That's a really fun, exciting night, another fundraiser. And the Cool Schools Polar Plunge is taking place on February 27th to raise money for Special Olympics. That's all I got.
All right, thank you very much. Next, Tom with Sustainability.
Sustainability did not meet since the last council meeting. We're meeting tomorrow at 1 p.m., so a very quick report. But we still need 3 people to volunteer.
That's true. You need some more members.
And it's a fun committee, so.
It is, it is.
That's my report.
Okay. Tim, we'd like to hear from you again about the Downtown Camp Hill Association.
Well, it'll be short because the association did not meet. So the next meeting is March 3rd, Tuesday at 4 p.m. in this very room.
All right. Then, Tia, do you have news for us?
I do indeed,
Oh,
because
Sorry, Frederickson Library report.
yeah, there is always fun stuff happening at the library. So there's always something to report, meeting or no. Friday, February 13th, that is this Friday at 7 p.m., Open Stage is presenting Anne Frank, Stories from the Attic. This is a two-person play inspired by true events. This piece explores the power of remembrance and the human capacity for understanding even in the darkest of times. This is recommended for ages 12 and up, but kiddos will not be left out because Tuesday, February 17th and February 24th, there is the Food and Farm Discovery Zone, which is the cutest thing I've ever heard, where children ages 3 to 5 can drop in for farmers market pretend play. They can get samples, learn recipes. They do early literacy and math activities, and hands-on farming fun with story time at 10:30 a.m. February 24th at 6:30 p.m., there is an event with Zachariah King discussing the heritage of Perry County country music. Zachariah is from the area, has been steeped in the heritage of country music from this area, and is actually named Perry County's Poet Laureate by the Perry County Council of the Arts. He not only performs music, but he archives historical local music to ensure it is preserved for future generations to enjoy. And lastly, Saturday, February 28th at 2 p.m. is Teen Library Prom, which is the first ever that we have done. Children ages 13 to 18 can dance and sing the night away, and they get to dress up as characters from their favorite books. There will be music, karaoke, a photo booth, snacks, and more. This does require pre-registration, and that can be done on the Frederickson Library website as well as viewing these events and many others. Finally, just a reminder that the first Saturday of the month, every month, is the Friends of Frederickson donation station. So as folks are starting their spring cleaning, you can donate books and other media for the Friends of Frederickson book and media sales. Donations of $1 or less can be brought to the reference desk whenever the library is open that first Saturday of the month. More details can be found on the Frederickson website. That is my report.
All right, that's awesome. So Capital Region Council of Governments did not meet. They had their dinner, and I think instead of taking notes, you guys just enjoyed yourself. Do you have notes? All right, well, let us at it.
All right, so Councilman Fink and I attended the CAPCOG annual dinner on January 19th at the Best Western in Harrisburg. After dinner and a short award ceremony, the Pennsylvania Recreation and Parks Society presented a very informative slideshow detailing the many projects they fostered in municipalities across our Commonwealth. If you're interested in learning more about them, their website's prps.org.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. And lastly, we have Birdtown, PA. The Birdtown, Pennsylvania Committee submitted our first annual report. We encourage everyone to participate in the Great Backyard Bird Count. It's held from February 13th through the 16th. You can find information for that online, and if you use Merlin, any bird sightings that you see during these days will count towards the Great Backyard Bird Count. The committee is also holding a collaborative event with Lemoyne Birdtown on Saturday at Consciousness Coffee at 8 a.m. to go over how to use Merlin if you're not familiar with it, and then to do a little counting of birds. Okay, we have reached the second period of public comment. If you would like to make a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Okay, so seeing none, we will move on to our action items. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the request from the Camp Hill Girls Softball Association to post signs on borough property?
So moved.
Okay, Tia moves, Tom seconds. Is there any discussion? No? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the request from the Lion Foundation to donate a resident rate family pool membership.
So moved.
Second.
Who seconded? Tia again, thank you. Rich moves, Tia seconds. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the advertisement of an ordinance to amend Chapter 150 of the Borough Code relating to peddling and soliciting?
So moved.
Tom moves, Louisa seconds. Is there any discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion passes. And we have now reached our final period of public comment. If you would like to make a comment, you may come to the podium and state your name and address, and please limit to 3 minutes, please. I'm going to be saying that in my sleep.
Rich Vance, 2000 Princeton Avenue. Just one comment, I would like to thank Public Works for their snow removal. When I finally did get out of the house, our community was a lot better shape than our surrounding communities. That's it.
Thanks, Rich.
I'm Mike Klein, and I live over here on 20th Street in Camp Hill. I thought there were going to be other people here. I just got an email saying that we had been discussing, because we're part of the group that's having to replace our sidewalks and curbs. And there have been a number of emails, and they said, yeah, they'll be at the meeting here. So I didn't have anything planned to say. I just want to let you know that we are concerned about it. It's been thrown on to us, and there's a lot of things going around with we feel like a short deadline with contractors and stuff. Colton has come out and talked to me about it because it wasn't well marked at our street. He's been very helpful. He got a little pushback with the snow, so we're still behind things. But the bills, our original estimate was over $11,000 coming up in May. Now, we did figure out that we think it's going to be a lot less than that because the contractor didn't take into account some of the markings, because some of the markings weren't visible anymore. So we didn't give him the paperwork. He went by the markings weren't all there, and he gave us an estimate for everything. But that was still a bigger shock than we had expected on a short delivery. It's still going to be up there, though, in the prices, and we're all trying to work together, but we're all dealing with individual contractors. So it's a concern to the citizens and the people who have got that going on. Sorry it wasn't well organized here in my thoughts. As far as he mentioned about I thought they did a great job with the streets this year. We were down to visit our kids down in DC, and it was a nightmare down there. They couldn't get to anything. Streets were open. I thought roads are good.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, we will end with closing remarks by council members. We'll start with you, Rich.
Just thanks to everyone for showing up. It's nice to see this big of a crowd here. Not used to seeing so many friendly faces in the audience.
Tom.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about parking a little more. I appreciate Tim's input about who's leading this. But I'm chair not of the zoning committee, the planning and zoning committee. So I think CBR and our committee working together, which we've already done. So we are actively doing that. So I just want to make that clarification. And we do care about it. It's a complicated process, and we're going to start working on it. In fact, we are working on it now, and we'll see how it unfolds. Thank you.
Louisa.
Yeah, I agree that parking is important and more than one committee can be working on it. We can all collaborate, and I would like to extend my thanks to Lester and Colton for handling the snow calamity so well. That's all.
Okay. All right, Kevin?
So I am not going to talk about parking because we've talked about it enough already. And it's going to start with CBR and end up in planning and zoning. So thank you very much. Definitely thank you to Lester. The past 2 months, we've seen an incredible amount of snow in Camp Hill. The amount of hours that they put in is just absolutely extraordinary. So thanks to Public Works. Thanks to Colton also for having to deal with the fallout from people not shoveling their sidewalks. So just again, I made this comment last time. As a public service announcement, please shovel your sidewalks. This is incredibly important for a community that prides itself on being a walkable community. Thanks.
Tia.
I'm going to parking in the parking lot, but did want to jump on the bandwagon to thank Lester and the Public Works team. Just, wow, the amount of work that was put into keeping our streets clean. I also was in the DC metro area and discovered how much of a difference it really, really makes. I know that this storm was particularly challenging because the snow didn't just melt within days after. It's really stuck around. So that also posed additional challenges. And that also extends over to Colton because with it turning into ice, that makes enforcing folks with their sidewalks, it's more difficult because it was more difficult for people to clear it. And I know those aren't easy conversations to navigate. So thank you for that. I had joked with Sarah that I desperately wanted to bake the Public Works people some cookies and bring them over, but I couldn't drive in the storm, so I owe you guys some cookies later. And then lastly, I do want to thank Sammy. I know that your last week is this week. As somebody who has had to consume a lot of the minutes you have written, I particularly am grateful, but I know that you do even more than that. So thank you, and we wish you the best of luck in your next endeavor.
And I have nothing additional to add that everybody else has already covered, but I do wish Sammy good luck in your next role, and thank you for everything you've done. Thanks.
Alex?
Just one last plug. As a government, I do urge you all to go to Youth and Government Trivia Night. If it's any consolation, I'm the president, so I'll be there. But yeah, it's going to be a good night. There's food trucks, and the cost is nearly $500 a kid, so there are over 30 kids trying to get to the PA State Capitol for a weekend. Any kind of donation or your participation in the event is greatly appreciated. So thank you. Can you remind us of the date and time of that one again?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
It is Wednesday, February 25th from 6 to 8 at the school.
Thank you.
Yep.
And can I come back and make another comment?
I won't stop you.
President.
I will never stop you from commenting.
I just wanted to comment on the sidewalk and curbing problem. We met informally with one of your neighbors, and I don't know if it helps you, we feel your pain. It just seems so unfair, but that's the structure of things. And the council was looking, how could things be different so that people don't get hit with these big bills? And I live on the other side of the bypass. I don't have a sidewalk. So, but I use your sidewalk sometimes. So, you know, how could things be distributed more fairly? So we have talked about that. No immediate solutions, and we just feel bad that you guys are hit with that. But maybe we should force you guys to build sidewalks. No, we'll fight that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I also would like to thank Lester and his crew for all of the work that you guys did. It's still not melting, but is it going tomorrow? I blame Phil for Punxsutawney Phil for all of this. Just saying. Sammy, I can't tell you how much I'm going to miss you. I'm really happy for you, but sad for us because it's going to leave a big hole. But I wish you the best. And Natalie, thank you for getting us through another lovely audit season. It's over, right? Are they gone? Have they left yet? They're not in the building. Oh my gosh, that's good. But thank you for all you do for that too. Okay, don't put that in the minutes, please. I'm so glad they're here now, but not here. All right, anything else? Anybody? No? All right. It's sometime, 8 something. All right, 8:04, we will adjourn. That's good. Right? It's like mine. Do you like it? Keep it.